what's up? I'm back with another video, and I wanted to do my best to tie in that the number series, and I put that number in there that a lot of people that I was going to talk about what that number may or may not mean, and one of the premise of this video is that the exact meaning of a number or anything is that there had not been a meaning. There are different expressions, but there's no real meaning to anything, and that's real meaning might be oxymoron, and that's why it sounds distasteful when I say the real meaning. And B might make it even more egregious. I mean, I don't know if that's like a triple oxymoron or a triple moron, a triple moronic statement. But then also, so I'm talking about the number 666, no less. And so I wanted to say is that what I'm communicating is that numbers are they're open to be a number can be anything, as anything can be anything, and that might be what is confounding to young people when they come in school, because you imagine a small child, and a child is all intelligence, all creativity, all inspiration, all fun, all open-mindedness, all intrepidness, all strength, if you think about it, because kids can come through a hell of a lot and still be smiling. Some of the, like, you could say that us adults are so strong and mature, but like a lot of things really beat us down as adults, and we don't have a smile for nobody. But you have kids in war-torn countries, poverty-torn countries, family-torn countries. Historically, there may not have ever been a cessation in that since humans have been there here to the present point, and likely beyond, heaven forbid. And children have been smiling there. I was talking in this video how when I was a young boy in Africa, my parents made an ill-conceived, half-baked step to relocate to Africa with a very small boy, as the country where we were headed was coming out of it was coming into independence and was undergoing economic hardships. I understand the majority of that country, and they took us back there, and my cousins there were, that was some of the most beautiful experiences of my life. My cousins were breaking apart toys so that we could all have something to play with, and we were none the wiser, and it was actually more fun that way. So that's just how rugged kids can be. However, somewhere, and kids are also happy to go to school. That might be another oxymoron. Happy school, happy to go to school. That might be a quadruple oxymoron. But children are that until somewhere, I would say, if I had to nail it, if I had to pinpoint it, right about where school starts to go off the rails, it has somewhere to do with mathematics. And then if you look at a lot of the opportunities that people fail to realize, whether they're gifted as an artist or gifted in some other field, what got them out of doing well in school or not, what kept them from matriculating, I think that means from going from one tier of education to a higher, it had been around mathematics. Likely, if I had to pinpoint one common culprit, that might be the real, they talk about the usual suspects, the real Kaiser Soze. The real Kaiser Soze had actually been a math teacher, I think, and and so that's actually the culprit. If we had to narrow the culprit, and standing right there in the lineup with all the other ones would be the real Kaiser Soze, the real math teacher. And but I think what had happened is that numbers are yet, on a certain sense, undefined, and they have a certain value, but they're yet undefined to a great extent, and that's the dilemma that is egregious and distasteful to young people who are creative and open-minded. Is that you're telling me that this is all number is and can be, and you also tell me this is all an expression is and can be, and this is what symmetry can be attained by that expression. So it kind of stops being fun, and it becomes more confusing, confounding, because you're presenting something as though it is settled once for eternity. And eternity might be another redundant statement, because that yet implies a beginning and an end. And so it actually kind of is true that if anything had been settled in the first place, second place, and third place, before, now, and latter, it would yet be somewhere around numbers, simply because they're a concept. And a concept is that free to exist and not exist, and would be as true whether expressed, enunciated, or not. conceived and recognized all at all points of that. And maybe again, point is redundant in absolute terms, but yet with that, the number, a concept, is still undefined and free to redefine, define, undefined, half defined. You know, it's really that's really what's so daunting about existing, is that it is and can be. And as soon as we ascribe a boundary to it, or an understanding of it, or an overstanding of it, it becomes arbitrary, and then we further try to monopolize that and make a brand out of that. So we make a brand out of some great name or concept, or maybe even sound, and then we do violence because first of all, we're being violent in constricting the concept, but then we're doing further violence by constricting other people's concept of a already constricted concept, and further constricting them to conceptualize what they are yet free to conceptualize as perhaps the prerogative par excellence of existing in the privileged form of being a human being. Arthur Avalon said that our word man may come from Sanskrit, and it has to do with think. So it is a man's prerogative to think. A human being is properly a thinker among nature, according to Arthur Avalon, according to teachings of India. And so it is our prerogative. So what is it to exist? To exist is maybe to conceptualize, to conceive. Exist is to conceive and conceptualize. How may you exist without conceiving? Yet how may you conceive without conceptualizing? And what have you conceived if not conception? And what is that other than to conceptualize? What is that without existing? And how do you exist without conceptualizing? That is to be conscious. Chid Ghana, consciousness, greatness, or maybe even higher would just be chid. Or lower, if you take it, higher is not of a greater or lesser value than lower in itself, nor is great to simple. But that's just an example of changing, of reappreciating terms and changing expression as part of what mathematics is. So all I meant to say is that the numbers are significant and have derived as we have them from our 10 digits, according to Pre-Algebra for Dummies by Mark Zigarelli. And there are profound dimensions that were understood by the peoples who called the Hindu-Arabic tradition, where that came from. And the numbers were profound both as order of operations. The more basic and the entire comprehensive scope of order operations is multiplication, division, subtraction, addition. And then you have a different symmetry within that, no less than like ripples or functions of 10. I think you get into trigonometry with that. And then you go further into manipulating those expressions in the terms of those expressions, and you come back and forth between concept and symmetry, and concept, where concept can go beyond and within what is thought to exist, and there are further symmetries that can be produced with that, such as our calculus. And I think a lot of the things that we have that are engineered around us are a function of that very property of going from concept to existent and back and forth along the lines of symmetry and manipulating expression, and it creates very sophisticated symmetry. So, but also the trigonometry, the ripples and functions of 10, our algorithms, are also another form of symmetry based on those digits 1 through 10. But the ancients also understood the digits as unique and profound in themselves, and attendant and reflections of other symmetry within nature. And I went over some of those in those videos. I won't repeat that. But one is that the number 6 can be equated to a human being. I don't know all the ways it can, but I know some of which is that we have leg, arm, head, torso, and that's 6. And then also, a human being is somewhat reciprocal, so that you can say there's no such thing as I've said there's all kinds of triples and trinities in existence. Such is a man, 666. So you have man, woman, child. All those are a man, and all of those are complete beings, yet and are completely one the other. Yet they are different. They are something greater combined, and they're not possible independently. Is 666. But also the different ways numbers can be manipulated by man being a function of 666. Anything a man does from that standpoint can be a function of 6, and all the different ripples and symmetry for destruction or creation can be the 666. And then yet the number 7 is also profound. 7 colors in a rainbow, 7 notes in a scale. I can't speak all the number 7, but I just know that 7 is straight up, 7 up, straight up, the greatest. And there's other things that can be done with 6.